Hey, it's Bilal, and this is Deep Sea, a podcast about seeing the world more deeply. Let me state from the outset, when it comes to football or soccer, I'm a Liverpool fan, so talking about the success of Alex Ferguson and Manchester United doesn't fill me with much joy. For Americans who may not understand what I'm talking about, it's a bit like a Pittsburgh Steelers fan having to talk about why the New York Patriots are so good. Nevertheless, whatever my personal bias is, enduring sporting success is rare. So it's worthwhile understanding what made Ferguson so good. Starting with the stats then, during Alex Ferguson's 27 years managing Manchester United, he won the league a record 13 times, which was considerably more than the next most successful manager of an English club, Liverpool's Bob Paisley, who had won the league 6 times. Ferguson also won 5 FA Cups and 2 European Champions Leagues. In total, he won 38 footballing trophies, which on some measures makes him one of the best coaches of any sport of all time. Despite the success, it's hard to imagine that Ferguson had a rocky start to managing Manchester United back in 1986. Within a few years of taking over, there were calls for him to be sacked. He hadn't won anything, and he was sacking popular players who wouldn't follow his orders to stop drinking alcohol. He felt the team had a problem on that front. But in 1990, he won the FA Cup, which secured his position and set the stage for his impressive run. So what were the secrets of his success? Based on interviews of him and on his own writings, these are what stood out for me. Perhaps the most enduring feature of Ferguson's tenure was his focus on renewing his team with young players. Early on, he intended to make Manchester United a great club rather than just creating a great team. On this front, he kept a close eye on players' ages. The team's median age hovered around 26 for a remarkable 25 years. He'd have a 4-year cycle to turn the team over. In players, he looked for drive and a good work ethic, which trumped talent alone. The best players, Ronaldo, Giggs, Cantona, Beckham, had to be dragged off the training ground. Brian Robson, despite shoulder injuries, would do 1,000 press-ups a day. And players were dropped if they missed training. He saw that exceptional players had to be challenged in order not to get bored. Equally, he saw that clashes between players could destroy a team. One such example was when star players Teddy Sheringham and Andy Cole were constantly clashing. On one occasion, they argued in the tunnel at halftime. Ferguson told them if they ever repeated that behaviour, they'd be sacked. Of course, it never happened again. Ferguson was also very careful in how to define success. Rather than telling players to win the league and 2 cups, he'd always tell them to win every match, which made it much more tangible for them. He also developed the ability to make decisions with imperfect information. In his writings, he chides those that lack confidence to stick to decisions or those that are in perpetual quest for the last morsel of information. He saw that as an excuse not to make a decision. And he believed that consistency was critical in leadership so people knew who you are. And when it came to his personal character, it was clear that he was obsessed with football, and his family knew it. He'd missed Christmases, and he even sacked his son when he wasn't up to scratch when playing for Manchester United. He focused on relentless homework, and he dwelled on opponents' weaknesses, not strengths. He viewed listening as critical and read lots. He also had a reputation for losing his temper, but he found that if it was for the right reason, it was acceptable, and he never held on to that anger. As for the broader club, he ensured he knew everyone from the laundry people to the groundsman. On foreign trips, he made much of the hotel chef. At the same time, some traits from his upbringing never disappeared, most notably his frugality. Indeed, he got so sick of his players swapping shirts or giving them away that he told them they had to pay for replacement shirts out of their own pockets. So if I had to summarize the successful traits of Ferguson, I'd list them as a focus on constant renewal, a strong work ethic, prioritizing the team over individual stars, focusing on the next win, being decisive, obsessing about football, and sheer passion. And if there was one overarching principle, it would be that Ferguson sees leadership as a quest to never stop building, otherwise stagnation follows. Thanks for listening. Please tell a friend about the podcast, leave a rating on iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, Spotify, or wherever you go for your podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter. My handle is @BilalHafiz123, Facebook, LinkedIn, or on my personal blog, bilalhafiz.com. I'll be back soon, so tune in then.